Land is critical for all agriculture activity. We need healthy soil to get healthy produce. For Africa to thrive in agriculture and attain food security, its soils should be nutritious and healthy. We all need food as fuel to stay alive, be healthy, and function optimally. We need nutritious food that replenishes, fuels body and mind. A sustainable agri-food system is one that can transform Africa's economy and improve the quality of life of its people.
My name is Keletso, a very young farmer from Botswana. I'm the founder of Herba Farm. It started in 2018 when my parents had to cut down spices from their meals due to health reasons. So on the quest to finding flavor for food at home, I came across herbs and I noticed that they added a different and unique flavor without diminishing the nutritional value of the food at home. I then started Herba from a backyard garden in Gaborone. And then in 2022, we had to expand because we were not meeting our demand. So we moved into this current location that we are in Gabane, into a 2-hectare farm where we now supply a capacity of about 30 stores, including restaurants. Here at Herba Farm, we have tried our best to tap into climate smart solutions, and we have done that by investing in infrastructure like greenhouses that will be able to help us produce all year round, as well as have drip irrigation for the summers to be able to retain water and have minimum water usage.
One of the goals of the African Union Agenda 2063 is to ensure healthy and well-nourished citizens and modern agriculture and production in Africa. The Africa we want, one that is food self-sufficient and has a modern agriculture sector that meets the needs of all communities.
Africa's soil have reached a tipping point with low level of soil organic matter and nutrient shocks, limiting the potential benefits of inorganic fertilizers and plant genetic improvements for smallholder farmers. The agenda on African soil health is a matter of urgency, and collaborative action must be taken now.
My name is Botswana Puduhudu. I am the founder of Native Feeds, and we produce livestock feeds and also agribusiness consultancy. Most of our rangelands are depleted because of climate change. We also need to promote the growing of grasses in our rangelands and also plants to also increase the biodiversity in our lands, also to increase crop production or even our for rearing our cattle. So it is very important that we protect our soils and we maintain the soil health in order for us to benefit later on from the soils.
There is no doubt that climate change diminishes continued progress on global food security through production disruptions that lead to limited availability of fresh produce. Some agripreneurs and farmers discuss how climate change has affected the agricultural landscape in Southern Africa and what interventions can be made to develop a resilient farming ecosystem.
Botswana, just like other Southern African countries, the phosphorus level in our soils are very low. And by that, the government tries to intervene by distributing, during plowing season, he distributes fertilizers that have nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus on so that we could fertigate our soils. And that has helped so far, but then it also comes to a point where farmers need to understand and learn proper agrochemical management.
Botswana and much of the Southern African countries, they rely much on rainfall for agriculture. So because of the climate change and drastic weather events, for example, droughts, floods, and extreme temperatures, the rainfall is not much like in the past years, and that has affected the food security in Botswana and Southern African countries.
In the past decades, temperatures have increased drastically, leading to regular spates of heat waves and drought. Rains are sporadic and floods are common. El Nino, the worst climatic disaster we have ever experienced. Most notably, the soil, which is the source of all agricultural production, is largely dry and arid, limiting areas that can be used for agricultural production. Healthy soil is critical for any agriculture activity to take place. It is therefore important to care for the earth and soil. Climate change impacts soil health by reducing the amount of organic matter in the soil, harming the structure of the soil, and increasing vulnerability to soil erosion and other degradation. But what other efforts can be put in place to ensure that soil health is refined and that the earth is climate change resilient?
We need to invest in also technologies that can help with less tillage, whether it's equipment or whether it's systems that we can put in place with farmers that can help use less tillage and help also retain soils. Also, elements of crop rotation. Farmers need to implement crop rotation. The more you implement crop rotation, it also helps with pesticides, breaking pest cycles. It also helps with breaking disease cycles within plants, and also it helps build the soil structure.
The other thing that can be done by stakeholders is supplying fertilizers which are environmentally friendly, that can also help in preservation of soil health. And then the other thing that farmers can put in place is growing legumes like plants which spread on top of the soil. That helps to reduce soil erosion.
According to recent findings by the Food and Agriculture Organization, a whopping 27.4 million people in Southern Africa are currently faced with food insecurity. Furthermore, approximately 80% of the global population at most risk from crop failure and hunger from climate change are in sub-Saharan Africa.
I think I started getting the sore backhand of climate change when my first crop that was just about to get harvested got hit by a hailstorm, something that was not very common in our area of farming. And because of that, because it wasn't common, we were not prepared for it, so our crops got destroyed. And that's when I got to realize, you know what, we need to come to terms with the fact that this thing is here. We have not predicted it because it hasn't been around, and what we've also experienced were high temperatures and prolonged droughts. Where I was based, there was a dam that could carry water all year round, but because of the recent changes in temperatures and prolonged drought, we could see that the dam the water levels were receding. And as a farmer, these are the kind of things that you come alive to, that the farming of my dad is not the farming of me, and something has to change.
Because of reduced rainfall, which most people rely on, there is a decrease in underground water levels, and that affects the irrigation systems and the production of agricultural products.
The effects of climate change have become more visible. The winters are not as harsh as they used to be, as well as the summers. In summer we experience less rainfall. This has led to less underground water, and this affects the rate at which we pump underground water, because that's our main source of water.
The food basket continues to shrink, yet populations are increasing and the resilience of natural ecosystems declining. Experts and farmers from across the continent continue to collaborate on interventions to mitigate the impact of climate change with the support of external stakeholders to ensure that they produce enough to feed as many people as possible.
So we've introduced hardier breeds in our livestock farming. We've introduced the Brahman breed, and we've also tried to shade our crops so that, those hailstorms are at bay.
So we have been hit hard, and we've also resorted to relying on importation. But the other thing we've introduced in the company is to capacitate our farmers about how to be climate resilient. We would design a workshop where we call in different experts within the field, whether it's for crop production, horticulture, or livestock management, and speak on issues of climate change and how farmers can be climate resilient, and also how they can commercialize that production.
Now imagine an Africa that is food self-sufficient and offers a wide array of nutrient-dense and filling food options for people, where no one goes to bed on an empty stomach and they have access to affordable, nutritious food. How amazing that would be. Achieving this goal will require great effort to combat the impacts of climate change in sub-Saharan Africa.
When I got into farming, I was met with very wise people. I consider my dad a very wise mentor who saw my potential, my drive, my relentlessness. I was always at the farm, always wanting to know, always with him. And then when I finally decided, let me do this thing actively, he said to me, you're going to face a lot of challenges because 1, you're a woman, 2, you're young, you don't have money. And these are the things that people are going to try to deter you from farming with. But I want you to understand that you can always build a community. You are young, use your youth as leverage. You can make as many mistakes as possible. You can still come back and do better because you have time on at your advantage. 2, you don't have a lot of resources, but you have people who do. This is where now the power of community come in. And then the third one is that I'm a woman. So let us try and show them that women can also come to the table to produce.
The biggest barrier is in acquiring food security in our country and also in the Southern Africa country is one. Majority of our farmers are running our farms at the subsistence level. So if we are hit with issues of floods and climate change, they're unable to recover or they don't have resources to be able to do their farming consistently and also be climate resilient. So the first point is because we are practicing our farming at a subsistence level. The second thing, in this area that we're in, we do not have the right or the adequate resources from government and also by private sector, meaning banks and financiers in the agri-space that also speak to climate change.
Collaborative efforts remain paramount to mitigating climate change, developing a resilient agriculture sector, and maintaining optimum soil health.